everybody. We are live again. We're going to finish up the Orc Head, and you're going to see some of the less than glamorous parts of preparing it to print, which, yeah, honestly, that part gets to be some of the most annoying. But that's what we're here for, is making action figure heads and making them viable to go on action figures. So, 1 second to share my live video.
Yeah, I'm not getting the date thing.
If you haven't shared my live videos, it's I'd super appreciate if you wanted to do it now. Oh, it seemed like we're less than 30 seconds back to back. That's great. Alright. Sharing, and we're good to go. Sharon. Oh, it's Edge. Oh, is it too loud now?
It might be a little loud.
Okay, I'm gonna turn down the music just a little bit. The louder it is, I feel like the more that Facebook freaks out. It's gonna be pretty quiet so they don't catch it, but okay. So let us get to it. So Curtis mentioned that he sees too much gum. I get what he's saying. I see too much gum as well, so let's just go ahead and fix that. I'm getting a little bit creeped out as to how fast this is actually playing in comparison to what it used to do.
If you want to tell people how to be updated the second that a video comes up, if they go to your page and click the 3 dots at the top where it says like view shop, it shows messenger and the 3 dots, and if you click that, it'll say following. If you click following, it'll give an option for live videos, and it might have a bell that says highlights. If you want to be notified for all live videos, you can just click that where it says highlights and select all, and then you'll be notified every video rather than just what they consider highlight videos.
Okay, so hope you heard my wife there, but if you I feel like I'm repeating something she said, I'm pretty sure we heard it.
Yeah, we're getting a much better lag this time. It's only about 10 seconds maybe?
I don't even know if it's 10 seconds, it seems to be like 5 seconds. It's pretty impressive. Here it goes.
I think it's 10. But it was up to like, I think 30 or 35.
Yeah, it was almost like a whole minute.
Yeah, we're somewhere between 10 and 15. That's cool.
Never mind. So I thought we were gonna do like long braids on it, but instead he actually likes the beard as it stands. So that's perfectly fine.
No!
What? What's oh no?
I think that in order to keep school on track, they're going to make Grayson go to school on March 12th, April 9th, and April 23rd.
I don't know what that actually means.
So it says March 12th, makeup day number 1, scheduled day classes 8 a.m. to noon.
Is that on
That's
Friday?
next week. Yeah, that's next Friday.
Oh, they're gonna make me take the kid to school on Friday. That's not fair to
at
us.
8 a.m. to 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Then it says makeup day again on April 9th, 8 a.m. to noon again. And then the 23rd says AMI day at home. I'm gonna have to call.
Yeah, I don't like that.
So, for anyone out there, if your kid is lucky enough to go to a 4-day,
I think they're all going 4 days of school right now.
They might, or like he might have like a half instruction at home and like half in person. We are on a 4-day week, and it really, really spoils you to not have to be up at a certain time to get your kid to school at a certain time on the 5th day. And we had some really bad snow, and so school was canceled for a week. Actually, we missed a whole week's worth of school. And so I think in order to keep their kind of like quote-unquote graduation or leaving school time the same, they're trying to make us make it up by coming in on Fridays for like a few Fridays for the rest of the year. And I'm like, no!
Yeah, I'm the one that has to do that.
Yeah, but I have to go get him in the middle of the day.
Yeah,
Looks
that's
like he'd
a-
only be going for a half day, so he'll be out by noon. Because I gotta arrange my kids' nap schedules to stay awake way past their normal, so that I can go grab him and then come home and put them to sleep, which means they're only gonna end up getting one nap that day.
Which means they're gonna be cranky
Which means
as
they're gonna
heck.
be cranky by bedtime, and then that just makes them ultra tired. But then they don't want to sleep because they're overtired. Tell you what, man, that's the thing about parenting people don't talk about enough is like, if you are lucky enough to have a kid who naps really well, you can sometimes be cursed with the fact that your kid needs to nap in their napping windows, or else everything gets messed up. And as someone who appreciates sleep, I get it. I
Yeah.
understand. If I could nap every day, twice a day, I too would be really upset when that happened.
Yeah, no kidding.
Plus, in fairness, they are both daughters, and I feel like it's a trait of women to just really like need their sleep on like a
Their beauty sleep.
schedule.
Oh,
Like, I feel like boys can almost stay up better and not be on a schedule, but I feel like girls like have to have a sleep schedule.
like,
Yeah. Or maybe that's just me, and I really love a sleep schedule. I really don't love throwing like a wrench into my sleeping plans. I usually take a nap every Sunday. Sundays that I don't get to, I just feel like it throws my whole week in for a wrench. I want to be able to like watch your live so I can see for comments, but I want to look at Pinterest.
You can look at Pinterest. I have the comment thing up. So.
Okay. I think it might just be me and you right now, my love.
Well, must be someone else because I don't actually have it pulled up to watch it, and it said 3 for a moment.
I told your parents if they wanted to take Grayson to go see that new dragon movie. Raya,
Disney one?
Something dragon, yeah.
Oh,
I
nice.
was like, I don't think we have any like plans to watch that movie at all.
No, I want to see it, but how?
Well, I just meant we're not going to pay the $30. We'd wait till it came out for free. So.
Hey, if they're gonna pay $30, they might as well just buckle down and buy it on our Disney. We can all watch it.
Yeah, but they prefer to go to the movie theater. I basically just told them if they wanted to go to the movie theater, we wouldn't be like sad about them going to see that movie.
Fair enough.
I'm skeptical about a lot of new Disney movies.
After Soul.
I feel like the last Disney movie I even liked was Moana. I don't think I've liked a Disney movie since. I didn't like Finding Dory. Thought it was really boring. I think Inside Out came out before Moana, and I didn't like that movie very much.
Also, you didn't care for that one either.
I didn't like Soul. The main Disney movies I've liked in the recent years is Big Hero 6 and Moana. I did not like Frozen 2.
Yep, no.
I didn't like it because I thought that they kind of ended Frozen 1 in like a sort of happy note, and then they did Frozen 2, and then it was like kind of not that happy because if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna spoil it. The two sisters, they end Frozen being close finally, like learning to be together and hang out and be friends because they'd spent all these years not being friends. And then you end Frozen 2 with them not being in the same place anymore. Like the older sister goes to be like queen of the forest. Like yeah, she can visit her sister and stuff, but I don't know, it's just if you spent so long fighting with your family and not being friends with them, and then you get this like short window of time where you're finally getting to know your family and you love them, and then you guys end up separating apart from each other. I don't know. I just didn't love that. Just because I felt like it was kind of a bummer ending. It made me sad. I felt like I would rather have like the sisters, I don't know, figured out like a way to rule together, and I just feel like there was a lot of emotional baggage that did not get dealt with properly.
For no reason.
Yeah, like Elsa was just like, I need to do everything on my own, to the point where she like died. And then it still wasn't like, hey, I'm really sorry that like I'm always trying to be so independent. I should, realize that I have a sister who loves and cares about me and wants to help me and wants to be my friend, and I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it as a kid's movie, but I just didn't like it. I like Moana. That's probably one of my favorite Disney movies.
If you're curious what type of movies we watch, it's mostly kids' movies, because when you have 3 kids and a 4th on the way, what else do you do?
Yeah. That, and I have a hard time. I'm kind of sensitive to some types of content makes me uncomfortable, but I just don't want to.
Hey, Curtis. Yeah.
You probably I'll watch 90s action movies, and I will watch comedies, and I will watch all kinds of stuff, but I don't know. I don't like watching horror movies. I don't like being scared. And I don't like movies that have a realistic intensity. That's why I like 90s action movies, because they're kind of a little more unrealistic. Die Hard. It's kind of like an unrealistic movie, and I like it that way.
You like Die Hard?
Rush Hour, because it's a comedy action. Huh?
You like Die Hard?
Yeah, I like Die Hard.
Oh.
It's not my favorite movie in the whole world, but I like it. I like a lot of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, like Total Recall, The Last Action Hero, and Kindergarten Cop, because I felt like the comedy with the action, I really like that, but I don't like anything that's too
realistic action
that's something that really does happen to people in the real world, just because I just don't like that stuff. It's just too much. It makes me too sad. The movie, what was it called? Murder by Number, I think. The premise was really good, but that one kind of was hauntingly disgusting. But I ended up watching that. And some of those images, because I watched it when I was 13 or 14 maybe, some of that stuff really stuck with me for a while. I'm I don't really like that.
So Curtis, since you just joined us, looks like you might have left only one viewer, it looks like, but if you're still watching, we're just getting everything all merged together, because once it's merged together, then we'll be able to put the hole in the head for the action figure
a hole in the head.
Oh my gosh, how's it going? I got it in the wrong head. The wrong side.
What?
Because he accidentally got it in the gay side of the head or something, and then the gay guy.
What are you talking about?
I thought you were talking about Oh, that's The Office.
I'm talking about The Office, where
That's
they
right.
talk about that joke about Abe Lincoln, and he's like, I need this, like I need a hole in the head.
Yep. Sorry, I switched references.
You're talking about Family Guy?
Yeah, where he has a hole in his head, and he's like, I got it on the wrong side.
Oh, gosh.
The gay guy was like, hey.
I don't remember that.
Oh, there you go, Curtis.
We went two different directions there.
That's what she said.
I'm not sure that applies.
I'm not sure when it doesn't apply.
I think specifically in that moment.
In this moment.
In that moment where you just did it, and I said, I don't think that applies.
Too soon. You can only just now start saying, making jokes about Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, that was what it was. Because he goes, you can't make AIDS funny. Trust me, I've tried. There's
It's
some
too
things
soon.
that it's just never gonna be funny. In fact, what is it? Jokes about Abraham Lincoln.
I think so. Just became acceptable.
Yeah.
That was hilarious though. That they like reused that joke later in the
I
series.
know. Yeah. I need this. Like I need a hole in the head. Oh man.
It's good stuff. It's just
It is
solid
good.
humor.
It's just a solid comedy. I don't know. When people tell me they hated it, like actually hated it, I'm fine if you say you don't like it and it wasn't your cup of tea. But there are people who are full on like, I hate that show. And I'm like, how do you hate it? I don't understand. I don't think it's like powerful enough for you to hate.
Hey
Just
Curtis,
like,
do
sure.
you want like earrings in your orc's ear or anything like that? Like a orc with earrings? Like I know you don't have earrings, but do you want that in your orc?
I don't know him.
He gave me a picture of the side of his head. I know he doesn't have earrings
Maybe
in
he
it.
took his earrings out for the photo.
You're a dork.
I will say, a big golden nose ring would probably look kind of cool.
Oh, would you want a nose ring? Okay, so no to earrings. Okay, that's fine. But a nose ring, huh? We can make it happen. What do you think?
No piercings.
Okay, that's fine.
He has a conservative order.
It's His orc's like, no, we only slaughter in the slaughterhouse.
My body is a temple.
No tattoos on me.
Oh, man.
Scar we can talk about. Okay, I can do a scar. I can do a scar. You want it over the eye or nose or how would you?
Face, ear, mouth. Do a craggly one that's like from his eye to his lip, and it makes his lip all snarly. Then he can be like, I got this in a fight. The head order for power.
Oh, I was gonna say Madonna for some
Should've
reason.
seen what I did to the other guy. He's in cheek, maybe.
Cheek maybe. Left cheek, right cheek.
Ah, that's a song.
Left cheek, right cheek.
This gang, 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 gang.
I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'm gonna try on the side that doesn't have your dimple.
Left.
Left.
he says.
Okay. Yep. That's what I was gonna do.
Is he doing? Are you doing a horizontal
kind of basic.
Fraggle it to his eye or just to his cheek?
I think he just said cheek. If he meant eye, I would have done it through the eye. We can kind of make it less the intensity. Okay, that's pretty intense. One second. Let's just try this. Try this again. Let's see.
He says other way maybe, so horizontally he thinks.
Oh.
So maybe. I think he still just did perfectly.
Okay, cool, cool. It's from front.
Wouldn't it be funny if orcs didn't sound all voiced and manly like that, but they actually had like really proper voices?
Don't you be bringing T-Rex like logic into this that T-Rexes might like since they're kind of based around birds and chickens. If you actually fluffed one up, it'd look like a crazy chicken.
I
With
will
feathers.
say when they're all like, oh, velociraptors probably have feathers. And then I'm like, hold up.
Wait a
You
minute.
said the closest relative to a T-Rex was a chicken. Is it possible that T-Rexes just look kind of like giant chickens?
Yeah, I saw that one post and it's never been the same.
I'm like, can you imagine how horrifying it'd be to like have like a giant chicken T-Rex chasing you, being like on its two legs and flapping his wings?
Whoa! No, no, no.
Although I will say, chickens lay eggs, and then dinosaurs lay eggs. And then did T-Rexes eat eggs? Because that would also make sense, because if you're not careful, chickens will eat their own eggs.
Like, hey, Mama, that looks good. She's like, they came at him mad.
Like, I actually read when we were getting chickens that, like, if you don't go and collect the chicken's eggs kind of quickly, and they have a chance to peck the egg open and eat it, the left ear's angled away from the head a bit more, right?
I know, I was trying to.
They will, if they get a taste of that egg, they will start pecking their own eggs and eating their eggs. So they were like, you can feed them cooked scrambled eggs, but never let them have one of their own raw eggs, because if they eat it and taste it,
They have a taste
they
of
will
their
start
blood.
pecking their own eggs every time they lay them and eat them, and you'll never get eggs again. And I was like, oh, that's kind
Horrifying?
of horrifying.
You're like, I can't imagine a human being like, I'm gonna eat my own eggs.
Right? I was just trying to think of like a human equivalent where we could do that.
There's not.
There's not really.
Like,
Because all I could think was your potty, and I was like, ew, no.
mean or period.
Ugh, no. Worse. Is there a way to just sink his ear into the head more?
Oops.
Like, take it into the head. Yeah, maybe more. I think that's maybe right. Take off for a second.
Take what off?
Circle off for a second. You can't see when the circle's on what it looks like.
I mean, I'll have to fix that, of course, but. Does that seem more accurate, Curtis?
We have to turn it. Oh wait, sorry.
Well, this is how it's.
I'm lagging, I'm realizing, probably. That looked better. There's still more of the, like, part where the ear attaches to the head on the left side than on the right side. Does that make sense?
Is that. The same a little bit more.
just went back. Oh wait, now it's back. The lag is really throwing me out.
Top left ear seems further. Top left. Top left. Really?
I think you fixed it though now. Give him a second.
I'm gonna give you a second. I don't know if you're caught up or not, to be honest.
It takes him a little bit of time to respond.
I think it looks pretty spot on right now, but I mean, you're the boss. I can.
I think he means.
Okay, now it looks okay.
now
Okay,
it's
okay,
good.
cool.
I was like, it does look pretty close. I guess it could maybe go like a teeny tiny bit closer. Yeah, the downside of the lag is not only is he lagging in what he's hearing, but he also has to type it out, and then there's a lag in it getting to us from after he sent it, and so.
It's true, but everything
like
is still.
Full, like 15, 20, maybe even 30 seconds of the full.
But honestly, it's still faster than usual, where I would message it to you and I'd have to snip it out and be like,
this
okay,
is
what do you
definitely
think?
faster.
This is kind of my favorite thing for
Especially
commissions.
because otherwise you just have to sit there, wait for the response. Okay, you get the response, you go mess with it. Okay, how about this now? Okay. He said I'm good with the whole thing there.
Okay, cool. Okay. Sorry, sometimes the lighting looks like it's doing the opposite of what I want, which is weird. Okay, just good. Actually, let me make sure I like to build up a little bit of flesh behind the ear and stuff. Like, it's not really going to be noticeable, from the front or anything, but the reason why I want to do that is simply because I don't want it to snap off. So I kind of
Had
pulled
some
it.
good guys lose their ears.
The most frustrating might be when I lose just the edge of the ear like that. I'm like, ah! And they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't necessarily want to print another head for just that tiny bit of ear, but at the same time, I want you to be happy. So I guess if you want me to print another head, I guess that's what I gotta do.
Definitely think when you have delicate ears, maybe something where you have to kind of package them surrounded by
Bubble.
styrofoam and bubble wrap.
That's true.
So that head basically.
Especially putting on a headdress, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Definitely if you're gonna
yes.
be putting a headdress on.
Yes, for sure. We want these
Reinforced.
nice and thick and juicy. Juicy ears actually does
Juicy
sound
ears.
ear. That
It's
sounds
disgusting.
gross.
I love your ears. They're so juicy.
I mean, I don't know when you say it like that. So how has the school stuff been for your high schoolers there, Curtis?
Oh yeah.
Like, has it been kind of business as usual? Like, they're kind of used to that type of technology and stuff anyway, and hasn't really phased them, or did you see Orc ears? Yeah. But like, yeah, like, is it something that they've kind of gotten used to? Like, we've been very thankful. My wife's parents sprang for our kid to be able to go to a private school this year, and I don't know how we would have survived normal school. Like, he kind of had a rough go at it anyway when it was normal. I can't imagine how it would have been with the protocols and everything else they had to do.
Especially because they were doing still like at home. If a kid in their class like came back positive with COVID, they would like transition the class to like home, I think, so that they could clean the classrooms and spit and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just feel like that in and out and in and out and in and out would have been so difficult.
Twins are in school. His son is doing virtual because he is a senior, only needs 2 classes. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I wish.
I
wish I would have
Arkansas did
existed.
that.
Yeah,
I wish Arkansas did that. You cannot take any less than the required amount of classes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you just have to fill up your school day with garbage.
Oh, no, my school totally did it when I was
If you have enough credits, you just have to you literally still have to attend school the entire school day, so you just fill it up with credits. Art, choir, computer, acting, drama stuff, like...
chemistry.
I've never done that as an elective.
I know, I'm just kidding. That's where I did college half the day because Mom didn't want to pick me up.
They didn't offer that option.
But yeah, when I was in my...
They would rather you waste your senior year going to school all day with nonsense classes. At my senior year, I had 3 different food classes.
I feel kind of awkward about this. Let's see, moved in December, didn't want him to have to switch schools. Yeah, that makes sense. I moved in my senior year, and my dad didn't remember that I was a senior, and they made me switch schools, and that was a blast.
Yeah, moving in your senior year seems like that would be the worst.
So, instead, I went from...
finally being top dog?
Well, yeah, that too. I finally had people know me and like me, and because my school, so Francis out north, of course, when your kids get to that point, your twins or whatever, when they get to that point, it's like the convergence of like 3 or 4 different schools, and that's kind of how like the whole, I was in the Becky David school district essentially, so I went from Becky David to Barnwell to Francis out north, and what's interesting is that a lot of people some people from Becky David, even across the street, they were across the street and they didn't even go to the same middle school as me. Like, they were just on the wrong thing, and so they ended up going to a different middle school.
That's like how California was, too.
I was like, okay, so...
California, you could literally live like 2 or 3 minutes down the road from somebody and be in a different school district.
So then it was interesting because the elementary schools, there's a bunch of different elementary schools, and we had some people from a different elementary school go to my middle school. People from my elementary go to a different middle school. And we're talking about, like, splitting hairs here. And then what was funny is that by the time it came to Francis Howe North, almost all of the schools reconverged back in. So now I had, like, friends from the one school, friends from the other school, friends I was like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in forever. You know? Like, it was super weird.
The boundaries are strange, I feel like, for the way they do schools, because I remember sometimes, like, my friends would even have to use their grandparents' address or somebody else's address just so they could get into the school district, because their parents, even though it wasn't technically, like, a bad neighborhood, they were just close enough to a bad neighborhood to be put into the lower school. And you always wanted your kid to go to the better school, so you would have to, like, steal people's addresses that lived in the better school district part just so you could go to the better school.
Which, we didn't have so much of that in St. Charles, thankfully. I think most of the St. Charles schools are very good. St. Peter's, you have Fort Zumwalt. Those are kind of, there's like daycare in Fort Zumwalt.
I was just such a bad, like, school that, like, there was such a lack of teachers and so many students. A, we had barely any equipment. And B, I was a 2nd grade student and we had 2 teachers, and my classroom was shared 2nd grade and 5th grade.
Fun.
The whole school year. So we had one teacher on one side of the not that big classroom teaching an entire class of 2nd graders, and another teacher on the opposite side of the classroom teaching 5th graders.
So anyway, though, what was funny was I spent the first 3 years of my high school going to class with people that I didn't even know, never met from the other middle schools, and I was like, who the heck are you people? And all my friends got to hang out with their friends, and I was like, what in the world? So that was the first 2 years, and then the 3rd year, finally got lucky, and it was like this weird convergence of the people that I had been meeting in the first 2 years, plus the people I knew from middle school. And so then it was kind of funny because now I'm kind of more top dog, and I know these people, but they didn't know each other. I was like, that's right, I know all you. So senior year was going to be off the hook. But then my dad moved me, and man, that was a devastating blow. I was just like, I can't believe you did this to me. But everything ultimately worked out. But I spent a good while being very begrudged about the fact that I finally was coming into my own, and I just kind of had to let it go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't think they have updated the school that I went to that I was just talking about ever. This is like the same bathroom I peed in when I was in 2nd grade.
Ew.
I don't think it's any different. They may have changed the soap and paper towel dispenser. The tile and the doors, everything is the exact same. And it all looks like 20 years old. It is old. So this school was not only kindergarten through 6th grade, they also offer preschool. And they just basically pack as many kids into it as you can. Kind of deal. I definitely think it would be weird if you go to school in California.
Oh, as things got weirder?
Well, just because especially after we moved, it just got really difficult because, okay, like, so I went to kindergarten in one school district. We moved 10 minutes down the road to like a kind of better town. And I went to, no, sorry, that was still North Highland. So that was still kind of a crummy place. Actually, I bet Wheeland was probably better than North Highlands was. We lived in a pretty okay place in Wheeland. So then we get to this other school, and I go there from 2nd grade through 4th grade. Then my parents move again, and by 4th grade I had to get held back because we're finally getting into a really good school district. Only I went to a crap school district. So they're like, oh, she doesn't meet the metrics that she needs to be in this school. So your only options are you have to send her back to the school that she was at, or a similar one, or you need to hold her back and she has to retake 4th grade here. And then I had to retake 4th grade, which was like the worst. And then we move, and I go to another school district that's each time getting in better and better neighborhoods, so the school districts are evolving and getting better and better. And I just started being so behind. Most of those kids had lived there their whole lives. They're used to the teachers. They're used to the way things are taught. They were taught, like, you know, a certain way because each school district follows a curriculum. And, man, I just remember feeling so out of place. By the time I hit 6th grade, I was at a school where you could start foreign languages and you could do all this other crazy stuff, and I was, like, overwhelmed because my other schools, you got the literal, like, basic of the basic, like, average stuff, and this one was, like, a pretty, like, upscale school with, like, an outdoor cafeteria, like what you see in, like, California high school movies.
Wait, that's real?
Yeah, I was like, that's real. Like, we literally had, like, food stuff, like, food cart things outside. You could take your lunch in, like, the quad. Like, we actually had, like, a quad that you would sit in and eat your food and stuff. And, it was really weird. Because every time we moved and stuff, and I have made friends, and then I lose those friends because they didn't go to my school anymore. And I
Didn't have Facebook
friends,
then.
and there wasn't Facebook at that time, so every time I kept having to make new friends, and I felt like I was just, like, starting over every time. So when I moved here, because it's Arkansas, I told everybody, oh yeah, you know, I lived in California, and everyone just was like, oh my gosh, you're from California, and, like, their immediate reaction is like,
Who do you know?
Movie stars?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I lived in Sacramento. Well, how close is that to Hollywood? Not close.
Yeah.
Well, like, California is the second biggest state in the entire United States. We're all pretty spread out.
Yeah, butterfly effect indeed, because I would not have met my wife had I not moved to Springfield, because I wouldn't have gone to the college there. I wouldn't have.
Shoot, if I hadn't moved to Arkansas, I probably would have never met you, and I wouldn't have been desperate enough to try online dating.
Right, I was pretty desperate because I was struggling, even though it was a pretty full area. It was just a weird situation for me. I was like, everybody's like, oh yeah, you just keep on trying, and eventually you're gonna someone's gonna fall for you, and I'm like, for me.
He was just waiting for me.
I'm like, no one gave me a shot.
Oh, your wife is from California? That's cool. I feel like the interesting thing about being from California is, like I said, it's the second biggest state in the nation, and so, well, I guess actually technically in the contiguous United States, because I think Alaska is the biggest for the United States of America, and then it's Texas, and then it's California. For the contiguous United States. It's so big that, like, you could always be like, oh, that person's from California, and they're like, oh, where did you live? And they're like, blah, 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 and you're like, oh, I lived here, and then you're like, cool, because you guys lived 5 hours away from each other. But we're
on a good day.
California! I feel like people in Florida do the same thing. Because everybody else is, I feel like everyone I meet is from Oklahoma, Florida, Illinois, or California. I don't think I ever met on World of Warcraft. So kind of like internet dating then. I was on
cool.
an actual dating website. I had a long-term boyfriend through high school, and we broke up, and I was man-hunting. I was like, I have a life plan to be married by 2021. I am currently 19, so that does not leave me very many years for my life plan. And I was looking for a genuinely serious man, and could not find one. I did about 9 months of internet dating. It was like, this is the most depressing and horrible thing ever.
Moral.
And really had kind of just started to give up. And he happened to find me on Facebook, like the sweet little creeper he is, and messaged me, and...
Sorry, technical difficulties. You're not sure why.
And then we ended up going on a first date, and he was crazy awkward and weird, and I was like, I am never going on another date with that weirdo. And then my friend was like, you should give everybody a second chance, because first dates are awkward and weird, and they're not a good impression of people. And so I went on a second date, and he just was super attentive and romantic and cute, and I was just like, I like him. So we got married after dating for 11 months. So I was straight up 20 years old. We got married, had my son at 21, and I will be turning 30 this year, and we're having our 9th year of marriage in June. So it is really funny because not everybody's life plan always pans out, but I had always said I want to be married by 20, and I think I want to have 4 kids, and I think I want to have my last one by 30.
We're doing all that.
And we're doing all that. It is really crazy. I had started to be I don't really think I'm gonna meet those goals anymore. But here we are.
Meeting those life goals.
Meeting those life goals.
At a house and everything.
know. It's pretty cool when you can really grow your life with somebody. I will say. So if anybody watches this and you're single and you're
ready to mingle.
I don't have anyone for you, but I do hope you find someone, because it is such a cool life when you get to grow your everything with someone.
And there's a lot that can happen in a short amount of time.
There is.
Discovered.
If nothing else, I think our story shows that there's a lot that can happen in a short window of time. I mean,
my wife is my first and only girlfriend.
Yeah, I was his first and only girlfriend. He went from a 22-year-old single guy living with his parents still to, being a college graduate, engaged, getting married, having a child, in such a short window of time. And
they all said I was going to be a 40-year-old virgin. I was like, prove you wrong.
You're so wrong. I'm having 1 million kids.
Right? I'm like, I have proof that I'm not. Where's yours?
So, yeah. So if you ever, future people watch this and you're like, life is hard, finding people is hard, just know it can all change. It's all about just stumbling onto the right person.
Right person, right time, right place.
Yep. And now I get to see him grow his art, which is pretty cool. Because, I mean, this is kind of what my husband went to school for, so.
Yeah, I went to school for graphic design, though. Or illustration, specifically.
I would consider this illustration. Would you not?
Kind of. Yeah, that's true.
It's three-dimensional illustration.
That's true.
Like, if you were going to put this in a storybook and then create a character of it, I don't see how it would be different. He said, I think this part of texturing it is really cool.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's funny because this is just simply a grayscale image of just dots. Just for whatever reason, it somehow transfers over. I'm not entirely sure what the technology on that is. Yeah, but it's giving it a nice skin finish. Yeah.
I really like that we're transitioning into skin, like seeing people's skin texture more. Because around like the early 2000s, the way they photoshopped was to
Airbrush
take
everything.
away skin texture so that everyone's face was like completely flawless. And then I think we were all like, hey, we kind of hate that, I think. And so now
So
it's
cheesy.
finally transitioning into like very, very like minimal photoshopping. Like we really want to leave people's skin like looking like skin. Like you can touch up blemishes and fade dark spots and things like that, but ultimately you still want to leave the skin looking like it is skin. Like, just really appreciate that. I'm really glad we're in that phase.
New age
We
of.
should make the paint details pop.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're in like a new phase of like, I would say minimalism as far as like photoshopping goes. I think there was like a time period where it was really, really negative. We were tanning people, we were making them ridiculously skinny into a point where like a human being shouldn't even be that size and proportions, and like making their teeth a shade of white that is unattainable and all this stuff. And I like that we're getting into a more like realistic beauty.
Golden age of actually.
Yeah, like, you know, you're really just showing this orc that's like, you don't need makeup to make you beautiful, man.
You say this orc?
Yeah.
This orc doesn't need makeup.
So like, just paint it minimally, Curtis. Don't go over the top. Just let his true beauty shine through. You know?
Let's go. Well, he is going to have one that's his to paint, so yeah. So Robert's actually going to be painting his main ones.
Don't want to tart him up like the girl of the night, you know?
Or does he?
Just want to leave
Ooh
him
la
nice
la.
and natural. Oh man, guys, it's been a crazy long week. I'm so tired. Again, I'm gonna say I don't know how regular content creators do this on a super regular basis.
This is kind of exhausting.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, in fairness,
It's fun,
Joel
but
works
it's
a
exhausting.
job, and I have the kids all day, so I'm sure that lends to some part of exhaustion. But man, if there's people that you follow on YouTube regularly, you should really like their page and like make sure you're like being
Throw a nickel to your Witcher.
Yeah, throw a coin to your Witcher and be like, thanks for like just taking the time to do this and creating content, because you know
It's hard.
I imagine it is not easy to do on a regular basis.
Especially when they have special graphics and logos.
Yeah, and they've got to get like their video all edited and put all their voiceover work and all the things they do. But I will say, there's another reason I like that you're doing this now is if we ever want to just go back and like look at some of your stuff you've done and
That's true.
see, because especially if you change the styles and the ways you're doing things, and you feel like you want to go back or you want to see how you've grown, I think it's really cool to document your work. So if anyone now or in the future is watching this and you end up being someone who does art type things, I recommend, and I'm sure Joel would too, to document your work, because seeing how you've grown
It's
in times when you
very
get,
useful because you get depressed otherwise.
you can get really sad and feel really defeated, and looking at how you've grown and seeing what you've managed to learn and accomplish while you've been on this journey.
I mean, because I'm going to tell you right now that, as I said, I've done art all my life, and it was interesting was I kind of hit this apex, or what would you call it? Pinnacle, basically. Like, I couldn't reach any further. Plateau, I guess. It's probably, plateau is probably the proper one. I reached the plateau. I could not get further. I could not. I bought the books. I drew from models. I drew from life. I drew this. And drawing was all I knew. And drawing was all I knew. And so it was like, I just came to a point that I was like, I can't draw well. I've done everything I possibly can to draw. And it's not that great. It's not what I want it to be. I know it can be better, and I can't digitally paint. And, the stuff's not making sense to me. And then last year, in March, I got a 3D printer for my birthday, because my wife was like, well, what do you want for your... real quick, I guess, let me interrupt that. Curtis, are we good with the Orc Head? Am I good to go ahead and officially start prepping it for an action figure head? Are we good? Are we good to go for that? Or is there anything else that you're like, we need to do this or this? Okay, so basically, yeah, I spent my whole life drawing and stuff, and in March got a 3D printer because my wife asked me what I wanted for birthday, and I said, I want a bunch of expensive statues. I want to be able to decorate my desk. Make it cool and nerdy, and so the statues over like $100 each, and you're kind of like, oh man, if not more, 100 to 300 each, and so I was like, I could buy a 3D printer for $300. Well, and it was weird. I think what's funny is that I actually just recently, if you guys don't do it, I advise you to every once in a while reset your ad stuff.
Far down from just above the eye down to the cheek. So he does want it vertical. He wants it to come.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
From like the eyebrow area, I'm thinking. Down.
No, he said from just above the eye. Okay, I see.
Down
so from here down. Okay, gotcha.
Is he wanting to go vertical or stay horizontally?
I think that's vertical.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Just gotta get that skin texture back in there.
So.
Anyway, so yeah, this whole thing started because I reset my ads.
Didn't you had just started to like kind of work with 3D?
No, this was before the. No, I had not actually.
Okay.
It wasn't even on my list
radar.
Of things that I knew was ever think it was possible to do.
So I would say his eyebrow is where he wants you to start it, like just above his eyebrow. Or is he wanting it like that? Maybe he's wanting it like that. I thought he meant through the eye. No, he's saying eyebrow down. He's saying eyebrow down.
Wait, as in
through the eye, like if he got gored in the eye, basically.
Oh, I'm doing it wrong. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. But like, don't put it in his eye. So like, skip his eye, and then go down to his cheek. So like.
Make that eye look blind. Oh, you do want it to physically.
Oh, okay, so he wants it like it's been damaged in the eye. So probably go a little above the eyebrow. Go a little up, like almost like you're headed to the forehead. Go up above the eyebrow. Yeah, like that probably. And then bring it down. Are you ready, people? The lag, and then and then bring it down.
So the first thing I do then, anyone who's curious, is I draw the line for the scar, and then I just outline each edge and make it sharper, so that way it makes it a very clear difference of like right here did a little weird thing, so just move that back out. Yeah.
So does that look more like what you're talking about?
Alright, is that good?
Give him about probably 30 seconds to
Anyway, no, so I hadn't even thought about it. But basically, I reset my ads from Google AdWords and stuff like that. I reset it, and do you want me to have like some scarring in the eye, or do I just let Robert
I
kind
think
of
leave the eye
smooth?
and then it'll just be, and then because the painting I think will get distracted if you put a divot in the eye.
That's fine. Yeah, good. Yeah, anyway, so I reset my ad stuff because I was kind of tired of seeing the same stuff over and over again, and kind of like, sorry, at risk of repeating myself for one more time. Curtis, are we now officially good to go ahead and start putting a hole in the head to get it ready for an action figure?
He does actually need a hole.
And basically, when I reset my ads, I saw this ad for new resin printers, and I was like, "Whoa, you can print in resin now!" And I was just so phenomenally impressed with the detail compared
Good
to.
to sign off.
Sweet. All right, let's save real quick, so that way. So anyway,
Pretty cool.
the resin printer was so phenomenal to me. I was like, "Man, this is great! I have to get this. I can make statues with it." And you find files and stuff, and it was pretty great. And so,
Oh, Toby liked the stream.
oh, hey, Toby.
Thanks, Toby. So then he fell in love.
So then I fell in love with resin printer, and then
It might have been the most powerful love he's known since me.
and my children.
Became, definitely
So
something you were passionate about very quickly.
So then, because I'd reset my ad stuff, I saw an ad for how to create 3D stuff in ZBrush, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can create 3D miniatures. I don't have to buy other people's 3D miniatures. This is great." And so that's all she wrote, really, at that point.
Yeah.
I was
So we
really
went
quick
ahead
and just
I
started
mean,
getting cracking on it.
Realistically, I think I was pretty on board with it because the idea was that I was going to get you like a $150 statue, and I was like, look, that to me doesn't feel like
Worth
a
it.
good way to spend money. And that's not to knock anybody, because I know some people really love that, but I have a hard time being the kind of person who loves, what's the right word? It's not useless. It just doesn't always seem like it serves a purpose to me. So when you want something that's just to sit on a desk, I'm always a little like, oh man. So I was kind of even more on board with doing a printer than I was just buying a figure to sit on his desk. Especially because we do have kids, and I knew that unless we put it up high, they would touch it and they would want to play with it, and it could get ruined or it could fall, or So anyway, I think I was on board, and I mock him that he buys a lot now to do with printing, but I also know that you really enjoy doing this, probably more so than
Anything else?
any other art you did. You definitely do not have the same kind of slightly defeated feeling that I think you would get when you were having trouble making drawings.
Yeah, there's pretty much no defeat. I've learned with ZBrush enough that I can actually make anything that I want to, and I said, "Well, that head's looking really cool, Curtis."
It is looking really cool.
That's looking awesome. You're gonna be super happy once it prints, because just like with regular digital printing.
He said, "Dang, that looks totally awesome. Great work."
Thanks, man. Hey, so we like the placement size. You like how that looks? Is everything clear on that end?
will say he has such a nice head shape.
I gave him a great one.
Yeah, you did give him a really good head shape. It's just a very nice, cohesive head.
Yeah.
No part is like too bulbous or weird. Or...
Thank you. I worked really hard to get it.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I worked really hard to remove his hair.
Yeah.
Get it nice looking for him.
Yeah, it's a nice head. Who knows, Curtis? Maybe you could pull off being bald.
Right, that might be what your head looks like.
Shaving it all the way down to Mr. Clean style. I remember when I was younger, like not knowing if I liked that, and then as he said, "Love it all." As I've gotten older, I'm like, guys, those shaved heads are like kind of cute.
So here's what's cool, Curtis. You won't find anyone else that does this. Not sure why, but I make sure I try my best to get you a pop fit, or at least close enough that if you turn the figure upside down, it's not going to fall off. And if you saw Anthony's dog head, it was pop fit enough that he was actually able to like tilt it like a dog's head would in real life, like, huh? You know, like so. That's what I kind of was doing here earlier. Was I like to look around, I like to double check that the motion is going to be very good whenever you go to pose it. I think we're in good shape. Usually this ring needs to be very close to the edge there, or else you don't have very much looking up ability. I think it's close enough that if you did have issues, you could just kind of Dremel a little bit right there and just be done with it. But I don't think you'll even need to do that, to be honest. So that is good enough. And now the magic happens where I go. better make sure I did all the. I have to make sure that both of them are dynameshed. It's a weird situation there, but dynamesh, and we're good there. So
they gave this torso just the cutest little teeny tiny nipples.
and voila, it is done. So now what I do then is I go over here, and otherwise if I shoot it out as a print right now, then it's going to be like 20 megabytes, which sounds small, but it's actually very massive for the program. So decimation, and we're basically just shrinking the size down. Basically it makes the mesh right now, the mesh is like all over the place, which I can show you what that looks like in a second here once it's done.
He said, I know with the resin they worry about it being too tight and breaking so often that they make the hole too big.
Oh, yeah, and I don't know, it sounded like some people were freaking out that it was the actual toy that would break, and I'm like, I don't think the resin is going to break a toy unless the hole doesn't actually fit.
Very similar density.
Yeah, it's the... but I use ABS-like, and so that gives a little bit more give, and if I wanted to give it even more give, I would use...
moderate mild flexibility.
They're pretty good flexibility. I mean, ABS-like, ABS is what they use for toys, so ABS-like is basically... Hey,
it should be compatible to...
the toy, basically, yeah. So ready, watch this. So here you see, like, how crazy dense all the polygons and everything are there, and now, decimate current, boom, cleared up. So it decimating it cleans it up, makes it look nicer, and still keeps most of the stuff as long as I don't decimate it too small. And then I go over here, and for printing, we go to our 3D print hub, and I update the size profile. So I've measured, see that's part of it, is I've measured that the y-axis of my torso here needs to be 60.89, and that gets me the tightest fit that I can without going overboard. Boom.
And then he probably knows the trick.
And then when I click,
heating it up.
yeah, you can always heat it up with hot water if it's too tight, but it shouldn't. It usually isn't. Certain pegs are a little bit bigger than others, to be honest. Are you mocking? Some of the pegs are. Oh my goodness. You're inappropriate. Curtis, Orc Head. And so then, because I measured it off the one, everything else in the scene gets measured off the same. So now we know that the head fits because the body fits. So let's go over here. So basically just to kind of show you guys as I said, we're showing you the nitty-gritty too, because if you were ever curious and wanted to see, like, hey, is this something that I want to do, or is this, like, way beyond my abilities, you know, like, you can kind of see everything that I kind of do to go through to make this a working thing for you. Here's the Orc Head, yep. And then if I was to open up my program here, oh yeah, I know. That's okay. I could have just redone it or undo. Control Z works in there too, by the way. So we're gonna.
Man, that is really cool looking. I have to say, it might be
one of your
my
favorites. Favorite piece? Yeah,
that.
I did a really good job.
I'm excited to see how the kitty cat finishes, but definitely, I mean, that is the quality. I like the faces that people were getting, you know, from the really nice handcrafted stuff.
Right. So, and it seems blue? No, it's red. It has. I don't know what it's talking about when it says message issues. It seems fine to me. So then I go here, and I love this new program because I just click this. Oh no, that's 1 second. Stop. I don't like it to auto oriented, so we do this. Yeah, it looks like it thought that your tooth there was going to cause an issue, so that's probably true and fine. Little tooth thing in there that it kind of.
Oh, it auto supports for you?
My new one does, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's why I've been so happy, because I spent.
For anyone, I would like to let you know the original way Joel had to try
manually
to manufacture his own supports and decide what needed
They basically
best support where. And if he didn't get it exactly right, I mean, the print could fail because of lacking support or too much support or.
Too much support's always annoying. You're like, seriously? Too much. I get too much support. What
I didn't know it did that. That's so cool, Dave.
Yeah, and I spent 30 minutes on that Baxter head because it was so complicated with his antenna and his hairs, and I'm like, this thing, it's only failed me once, and that's because I put too much trust in it. I let it auto orient. I never let it auto orient because it put the thing in a position that was like dumb, and I was like, huh.
I'm not gonna like sit in that position.
Yeah, it was like, and I didn't add enough, and I can thicken up some of the supports too. Your main supports, your anchor supports are like the first thing. So
auto-orienting is like putting it in the position it will be printing in.
Yeah, that's positioning it to where it's like it thinks it's easier, better. It might
pick a position you're not going to be printing.
And it was about to put supports in the middle of his face, and you don't really want supports in the middle of your face because support scarring.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'm gonna drink real quick here. So first set done. And
I'm learning your process with you, babe.
oh, thanks, wifey.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of hope to do too. Is it's teaching you guys the ins and outs. And I probably should have saved it, but it's okay. Yeah. At that point, I can redo whatever. I think we're all good.
I will say, for anyone that is maybe like got somebody that does a hobby that maybe you don't necessarily understand or have a super interest in, like, you know, your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, try, like, really truly attempting to learn, like, why they're passionate about what they're passionate about. It is really cool, even if it's something you may never understand, it's something you may never get into, and something you may never be capable even of doing. Like, I would not say I would never be capable of doing this. Like, I don't know, I think it just brings us closer and gives me an opportunity to, like, see what sparks the joy for my husband. So, if you're out there, anyone, and you're like, oh yeah, my husband just kind of does his own thing, or oh yeah, my wife just does her own thing, like, I think really, like, attempting to just even take, the smallest amount of interest as far as just trying to listen to what they do, and why they love it. I don't know, I think it makes you understand them on a better level.
Yeah, for sure.
It just can make you really appreciate, like, them as a person. Like, why do they love what they love? I don't have as many complicated hobbies. I love Pinterest. I love painting furniture.
All right, Curtis, looking at the next sign-off, are we officially good for your vampire head?
I will say, I'm now finally getting to see a vampire head completed too, and it looks pretty darn cool.
Yeah, he really likes it.
I like
by the way, Curtis, I know we're going past an hour here, but I'm calling only an hour for the Orc Head, because all this part of the process I would obviously include in the usual. So we're at an hour and 30 minutes now.
I wonder if you maybe need to fix his ear on the vampire a little bit.
It's not his ear, it's his face comes in more, I think, on the one.
Well, I just wonder if you tilt the ear in just a smidge more, maybe they would have the same lineup better. Does that make sense?
I mean,
Top part of the top section of the ear. No, you can't move it too much.
Well, I can, but I'm gonna wait and make sure. If Curtis wants, he says it looks great. Okay.
In fairness, now that you move the angle, it's less noticeable.
Okay.
It's possible that the angle you have it at made it look more noticeable.
I mean, at the end of the day, faces are asymmetrical, and that's part of what makes our face great.
That's true. That is very true. I keep telling him that I actually do not want him to put my face in this program.
She doesn't want to see just how
asymmetrical. Not
asymmetrical.
symmetrical. I just don't need to know how not symmetrical I am, because I feel like I won't ever be able to see it. Like some horrible internet person showed a picture where they pointed out that Tom Cruise's tooth is in the middle of his face, and it never ever bothered me. I never noticed it until somebody literally outlined in a circle his tooth through his face, and I can never unsee it. Every single time I see him or a picture of him, I'm like, tooth in his face!
Tooth in his face? Not middle of his face. Tooth in his face!
Tooth in his face! It's just like... And so yeah, I don't ever want to see how not symmetrical I am.
Nobody needs to see that.
Nobody needs to see that. I feel like it would be more detrimental for me. He says vamp is good because I found out this thing where a lot of times people tend to think they're 10% hotter than they are. And that kind of ruined my life because I was kind of like walking around being like, I'm a solid 6.5, maybe a 7 with my makeup and hair done. So to think that I'm 10% probably less than that means I'm more like probably a 5.5 and a 6 with my makeup and hair done. And that made me sad inside.
Right.
It's like, I hate the internet. All it does is give me bad news about myself. You're like, yeah, the reason you like your face in the selfie camera is because that's your face mirrored. And that's what you see in the mirror. So really what you look like to other people is when you do the other camera. So every time that you look at the other camera and you don't like that way you look, it's because that's what your face really looks like. And I was like, I hate you. I hate you so much. Stupid internet.
Oh man.
So if anybody wanted to share that horrible information with me, you now are burdened by that information as well.
And Curtis, what do you think of your human head? Are we all good on the human head still?
I'm so used to seeing him as an orc now, it's like weirder that he's a person. Like, where's all his weird teeth?
Where's all his
As a
weird
vampire
teeth?
and as an orc, like,
Where's his
crazy teeth at?
Oh man.
Now he just has like a regular people smile, and I'm like, Who is this handsome devil?
You're like, I don't remember what I look like. No,
Yeah.
I'm pretty used. You see that he's now using the picture of his vampire head as his portrait on
Oh,
Facebook
no, that's
now. Yeah, he's
awesome.
watching
Oh, I
it.
do see it. That's cool.
I'm gonna take that as you're good with this head. Oh man, you've been quite the pleasure to work with, Curtis. I'm not gonna lie. I've really appreciated you. I've been doing a lot of all this stuff long enough that some people, man, you're just like, oh, they're talking to me again. Stress. But man, you've been fun. It's been great. I've loved it every step of the way. I'm super excited to keep working with you on the headdress and everything and making that look awesome. Not tonight, of course. We'll but yeah, my biggest focus
What
at
is
this
he
point.
looking at headdress-wise?
Wolf head. Wolf headdress.
Oh, okay.
And we're gonna do it in 2 parts, and it's gonna have like one that goes around the shoulder, and then another part that fits on top of the head. So
Yeah,
that
that'd be
way,
cool.
yeah, it's gonna be great. That way, he still has mobility in his
how
head.
do you create? Are you going to have to factor in the draping style because that is not a flexible resin and that it won't?
Yeah, I'm going to have to create folds.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting, and that'll be a cool thing to tune in and watch, I think, because
Yeah, it's gonna be a whole new process.
that's going to be a totally different process in creating basically the look of fabric in something that does not move.
I can't remember if I.
Super cool. He says the process has been fun, and he did say the human head was good. So. I shared your video and was like, if you want to learn about 3D stuff, come ask questions. My husband loves to answer stuff about his passion.
I do.
You do. You would make a good teacher, I will say.
I try to be patient. I try to critique well. Yeah. I think if honestly, I think anyone who's not willing to let their customer be part of the process is either insecure or
doesn't play well with others.
Or just doesn't play well with others, yeah.
Has an idea
Ego,
how they
whatever.
want something to be
Like,
done
boom, we're doing it. This is
doesn't
it.
want anybody to tell them any different. I definitely think you have to.
I'm not gonna lie. If I was to simply make your head, Curtis, and be like, here it is, would that have been easier and quicker? Yes. But would you be satisfied?
Would you be as happy? Yeah.
No. And if you're not satisfied, I mean, I don't know. The whole point for me is repeat customers for sure.
Right.
It's
And not just that,
satisfied
but
people
feeling,
coming
yeah.
back. Word of mouth is still the biggest advertisement in the world.
Yeah.
You know, more than anything. And people
Well, word of mouth in the form of tagging and showing people.
But
how
I
to
mean,
get
like,
to a place.
but I mean, like commercials and stuff. Like, what does a
Yeah.
commercial mean? Anyone can have a commercial. Anyone can pay enough money to have a
That's
commercial.
true.
But to have someone who's like, dude, this guy was so fantastic, so phenomenal. I love everything that he did. You know, like that's invaluable.
Yeah. I will say, if nothing else, Etsy has proved how important it is to stay in contact.
What in the world did I just?
Undo it. Etsy has proved that it really is kind of imperative in running like your own small business type thing to stay in contact and making what a customer asks for, because you know they can really get beat up with reviews if they're not putting out quality stuff.
Yeah.
To their customers.
Seriously.
To the point where if you, I didn't know this until recently, if you make like a complaint with Etsy, I guess Etsy can go ahead and just take the money right back out of the person's account if you basically end up like dissatisfied. So, yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's like, you know, that's not gonna technically be how it works with Joel, but that he still wants to make something where you are really happy.
I mean, I guess if at the end of the day I have to give money back, we are where we are at that point. But I will do everything I can before that.
I just meant there's not somebody who directly pulls the funds out of your account every time that someone's like, I don't like this.
That's true. Yeah, no one can directly be like, bye.
Yeah, like I'm gonna take this money back.
Oh man.
So, but I think that, yeah, the goal in finding the most
Yes, yeah. I think at the end of the day, even if it didn't look exactly like you, even if it whatever, by the fact that you simply got to have your input, you get to be more satisfied. Even if it doesn't look exactly like what you thought, you're like, but I got the input, I got to tell him, and he did it within his physical limits.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still always bound by physical limitations, of course, but
Yeah.
but
That's one thing about salons too that people don't always necessarily understand is, there's always going to be a limitation on what can and can't be done. When somebody works their absolute hardest to do the best,
and you see that,
and
and
with
in this
what
case,
you have.
and in this case, you get to see it. You get to see that I am doing my absolute best with my knowledge and with my know-how and stuff, and so I think it's cool. I think it gives a little bit of leeway. I think everybody is happier, honestly, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, anyway, though, yeah, basically to kind of finish up, so I learned how to use ZBrush. I went to one. I was gonna make minis, and the field was oversaturated, and I wanted to make a statue, and I was kind of making a Power Girl statue, but it wasn't. It was all right. I showed my stuff off on a Warhammer kit group because I was gonna do like kit bashing parts, and then there was just way too much of that where Warhammer freaks out and they're like, no, you can't touch our stuff, you can't do this, you can't do that, and so I was like, okay. But one person was like, yeah, you can make novelty heads and people can put heads on it, so I made a Tom Selleck head, and that's kind of all she wrote. Someone found me from Mythic Legions and said, hey, I would love for you to make me fancy heads, and I'll paint them, and I will sell them, and I'll give you, money back for selling casted heads and stuff. And I was like, sweet. So joined Mythic Legions, started making action figure heads. Had some. Here we are. I mean, I had some. It's some dark. It's had some up and downs.
And some transition. And
I think I'm at my happiest right now, to be perfectly honest. Even though I'm not like working on something that's mine, there is.
It is yours.
Well,
because you're doing a custom.
Right, well, I mean, it's. I mean, I made the croc heads and I made this, and it was all based off my imagination at that point. I'm using someone else's face in this case, but.
I mean,
there's a satisfaction though.
The vampires are your imagination.
That's true. That's true. There's a satisfaction though of knowing that someone truly appreciates what you're doing. If
I mean, when
I made a bunch of croc heads and no one's bought them yet, and I'm like I guess they're not appreciated.
Movies. I mean, think about your favorite movies. That's people's makeup skills taking a face that already exists and morphing it into a
That's
face.
true too.
And that's still a beautiful art. So, I mean, it's definitely still yours. It's maybe not like 100% homemade creative, but it's definitely still very creative.
Yeah.
So
I'm really enjoying it, and I think you guys are too. I think you guys are all going to enjoy it, and it's good stuff. I have high hopes for what's to occur for Headhunters Customs this year, and I hope that we just blow this business up. I could probably go. Yeah, I could probably go a little bit. Turn it on its head. I could probably go a little bit longer, but honestly, I want to watch WandaVision tonight while it's still fresh and no one's ruining it for me. So we're gonna cut out. Curtis, your heads are all good to go, and I think what I'll do then is I have to finish up Robert's thing tomorrow, and then I have a couple other things. When you print on something, you usually don't print one head at a time because that's kind of silly. So I have a big printer. I'll print all the heads all at once. There's a couple things I want to do on a personal matter to include on that one, and yeah, we'll go from there. So Sunday morning, I should be printing your stuff. I'm gonna actually go ahead then.
Ready to ship Monday?
Yeah, I'll be shipping Monday for sure. Yeah. Monday will be shipping day, so I'll ship it to Robert Monday.
He should see them in about 3 business days.
No, I'm shipping them to Robert.
Oh, to Robert.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot to get Robert first.
I guess technically, Curtis, we can talk about it in Messenger, but if you wanted me to ship you the plain ones just so that way you can have them, I was going to ship them to Robert to save some $4, but I mean...
Honesty.
Honesty, I mean, but when you think about it, like, you've paid me so much, I think saving $4 is kind of like a slap in your face, you know. I'm like, you've paid me plenty enough. Let's go ahead and get the few in your hands. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and ship you your orc, vampire, and human head. I'm gonna ship them to Robert, and let's go ahead and say that I'm going to start on the wolf head dress at least by Monday night, maybe Sunday night. I'm going to go ahead and focus on a couple other heads just to kind of get a couple of other people, out.
If you want to work on it while I'm napping on Sunday, I will.
That's true. I'm going to have like 3 to 4 extra hours on Sunday. Here we go.
Hey, like 2.5.
On a good day. 3 to 4 extra hours. But, sounds great. So, new WandaVision out, season finale.
Season finale, yeah.
So, if you haven't watched that yet, I'd advise watching it now. It's been a pretty cool series as a whole.
He said you can send them to Robert. I'd rather get them together.
Oh, okay. That's cool. We'll do that too. So,
anyways, night everybody.
Night everybody. Have a good day.
Enjoy your weekend.
And let them know what's up. Yeah, I think I don't have a. Okay, I can set up this thing to actually use the phone off my camera phone. So maybe if I'm feeling feisty, I'll go ahead and show the printer's prints.
Oh yeah.
Through the stream using
Do you
my
have a camera at all from
a webcam. I used to have a webcam.
I just meant from work though.
Oh. Chris does, but
you can use my phone if you want.
I mean, oh yeah, because your phone's better. I mean, it does scan. Yeah. I used to have a webcam. Maybe I should consider buying another
that
one.
Would be garbage. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, my old one is so garbage. So
that would be like
my
2009.
My phone might be laggy and streaming and a little bit gross, but it wouldn't be as bad. But anyway, all right. Thanks, guys. Sorry. Subscribe.
Like. Subscribe
YouTube.
If you're on YouTube. Sorry,
YouTube channel.
We keep forgetting to check if anybody's saying.
No, I have it loaded up. So.
If you're on if you could share, and if you could maybe, if you think of somebody who might be interested in seeing it, tagging them would be cool. Sharing the page in general is cool. I'm trying to think what else. Subscribing on YouTube if you haven't. Even if you don't intend to watch on YouTube, I mean,
yeah, it's true.
The huge difference.
The subscriptions, YouTube will pay me money just to simply have like 3,000 subscribers. You don't even have to watch it on that.
Yeah, you don't even have to watch it, but it also the more subscribers, the more likely it is to hit somebody else based off of the subscriptions. I feel like a lot of times.
Oh, right.
So, so the more subscribers,
Yeah, I'm not trying to be a millionaire, but every little bit counts.
We have 1 million children.
We have 1 million children. Yeah, help fund me to keep having more children.
No, gosh, we're done. We're done, everyone. This is the last one.
This is the last one. All right, later.